Moving into our next clip, we got Senator Josh Hawley here also laying into DHS Secretary regarding these apps that help supposedly illegal immigrants. Just wait till you hear this one.
I look forward to following up with you, Senator.
Thanks, Senator Padilla. Senator Hawley.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, Mr. Secretary. Thank you for being here. Let me start with what I hope is a simple question. Do we need to have more or fewer people coming to our southern border?
Senator, we are working on diminishing the number of people whom we encounter at our southern border because of the challenge it presents. We're trying to build lawful, safe, and orderly pathways to accomplish that.
Okay, fewer. So we need to have fewer, which means we need to roll back incentives to come. So I would have thought that would have been the answer. Let's talk about what you're doing, though. In January of this year, you rolled out a new phone app called CBP One, an app for a cell phone. I've got a picture of it behind me here. This phone app allows, and I'm going to quote from your own fact sheet, it allows, and I quote, non-citizens without appropriate documents for admission to schedule an appointment to come to the border. They can now go on their phone and schedule a time to come to the border and then be admitted. And you identified 7 separate border points of entry where they could come. 5 of them in Texas, 2 of them in California, 1 in Arizona. It's like a concierge service for illegal.
I didn't know about this. I knew that there's people that were coming across already that were receiving cell phones and ankle bracelets, and they were supposed to show up to their court hearings. That never happened. They're actually throwing these cell phones and they're cutting off the ankle bracelets and they're throwing the cell phones away. I didn't know there was an app out here. This is news to me.
Illegal immigrants. My question is, you didn't think the border crisis was bad enough that now we're going to have an app that allows illegals to schedule their appointments and come and be admitted to this country?
Senator, you're mischaracterizing the use of the application. Let me explain it to you. We are currently enforcing the public health order of Title 42, and I know you're very familiar with it. There is a process for individuals who claim an exception to the Title 42 expulsion authority because of an acute medical condition.
But we're not talking about the expulsion here of Title 42. Title 42 is for those that are at the border, and it was kind of a health policy for the pandemic to basically expedite somebody being deported. But that's going away in roughly May or so because you have the Biden administration wanting to push that whole thing through of basically getting removed. But the app is referring to people just coming to the border and showing them where the points of entry are at, basically, or at least telling them where the points of entry are at to basically come seek asylum, of which they don't have the paperwork or probably the actual qualifications to seek asylum, and then you're just going to let them into the country. So he's given a totally different response here.
Well, let's talk about this app.
If I may finish, an urgent humanitarian reason. So instead of them coming in between the ports of entry to claim that urgent medical condition, that extraordinarily acute humanitarian cause, we allow a limited number to arrive at our ports of entry and seek the emergency relief that they need.
Schedule, you allow them, let's be particular about what you do.
And I should say that the CBP One app was not unveiled for the first time on January 5th of this year.
Oh no, but you changed it. You made it available on January 5th to the illegals themselves. You don't have to be a lawyer to use it. You don't have to be a member of a non-governmental organization. Anybody can download the app and use it on their phone. And for the first time, you allowed them to schedule appointments. Now let's talk about what actually happens when they come to the border. It's interesting. You characterized this when you rolled it out as an application for applying for asylum, but nowhere on the app do you actually require the illegal migrants.
Thank you. Okay, good. So it's lining up. Exactly what I'm saying. That's exactly what I was talking about before. But he's not, the way the DHS Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas is phrasing it as is total cockamamie BS. And now he's calling him out for it.
To apply for asylum or to claim asylum or anything about asylum. And in fact, when they then get to the border, you don't ask them questions, you don't do interviews, you just release them. Here's the Texas Monthly, not a notable conservative outlet, who reports, and I quote, "At no point does the app ask users, are you seeking asylum? Those arriving for the CBP One appointments are given no interviews, asked no questions, about vulnerabilities that they may or may not have listed in the app or about why they're coming to the United States. They're simply released into the country, end quote. So rather than building a wall, Mr. Secretary, you have built Ticketmaster for illegal immigrants.
You are, Senator, you are conflating programs. Let me explain
Well,
to
just
you.
respond to this. Is it true that they are given no interviews, asked no questions, and simply released into the country?
Let me explain to you what we announced on January 5th.
No, I want you to explain to me what's happening. I know what you announced. I read it to you.
So I will explain to you what has happened.
Hey, you know what? Okay, here's something positive, folks. The guy makes us feel like a genius. The DHS Secretary, Alejandro Mayorkas, makes me feel like I'm a savant with just knowledge and just critical thinking skills, because this guy's he's just so off the reservation.
Are they given interviews? Let's start with that. Are they given interviews?
We were previously experiencing
That's starting to sound like a no. Well, let's just hone in here. Mr. Secretary, my time is very limited. I don't mean to interrupt you, but I want to drive to some clarity here.
But Senator,
The Texas Monthly has reported that once illegal immigrants go on their phone and reserve their time to come to the border, once they use your concierge service that you've created for them, when they come, they are given no interviews. They are asked no questions about any vulnerabilities. They are simply released into the country. Is that happening?
Senator, you are mistaken. And if I may explain.
Are they given interviews?
So if he's mistaken, the answer is no. And then his follow-up would probably be, why is it no? And then you could explain yourself, but let's just answer the question, man.
If I may explain, individuals who seek parole under our January 5th program for Cubans, Haitians, Nicaraguans, and Venezuelans are screened and vetted before they arrive at our border.
Wait a minute. No, they go on the phone and they just reserve a time, and then they show up and they're given nothing. Listen to this. Even immigration advocates are amazed about this. Here, also from the Texas Monthly. Here's one immigration advocate whose first name is Orta. She says, that's the crazy part. Nothing in this new program requires you to actually seek asylum. Somehow, we've decided to punish those who arrive at the border without the app, who may be seeking asylum, but we just let in anybody who may or may not have any particular reason to seek asylum, so long as they've made an appointment on your Ticketmaster app. This seems crazy to me.
Senator, it's a complete mischaracterization of the program that we announced and are implementing.
So how many people have used the app then?
That you are referring to. So if I can explain.
How many people have used the app?
So we had a significant surge of Cubans.
How many people have used the app?
Nicaraguans and Venezuelans.
Mr. Secretary, you're here to answer my questions. How many people have used the app?
Tens of thousands have sought to make an appointment at the port of entry under our parole program.
Okay, good. How many have been admitted without an interview at the border?
You are, again, inserting a fact that does not belong in your question. So.
What? Is anybody else losing their crap right now? That guy just said you're inserting a fact that doesn't belong in your question. He's telling him how to form his questions now. You guys, I am laughing because the content is ever growing under this administration. The sad thing is the content comes in the form of the denigration of our great nation, United States of America.
If I can, I will get you the precise.
I'm reading to you from public reports about how your own app works. You're just blanket actually, you're not quite denying it. You're saying that maybe we don't understand. Apparently, I don't understand. Texas Monthly doesn't understand. Immigration advocates don't understand. You're the only one who understands, yet you won't answer my question. How much did this cost to develop, by the way?
Senator, I don't have the cost.
Or
let me share with you a critical
Well, will
fact.
you get it for us?
Let me share with you a critical.
I don't really know. I kind of just pick the number, and it's under the taxpayers. We don't ever look at it, Senator. We don't ever look at what we're spending. We don't really care. We just have 5 million people pouring across. Sorry, did I say 5 million? I'm sorry, Senator. I don't really know how many. I think I said 5. It might be 2.5. It might be 1 million. I don't really know. I don't have a clue. But we just wrote the check, Senator.
Will you get us the cost of to develop this app?
Happily.
Did you contract with a tech firm to develop it?
Senator, we have seen a approximately.
Did you contract with a tech firm to develop it?
We have seen an approximately
for heaven's sake.
95%
He's like a senile old man. He's answering his own questions. It's like Joe Biden. Just like, this is you guys. This is so. These are people that are running our country.
Did you contract with a tech firm to develop it? Yes or no?
Senator, this was led by U.S. Customs and Border Protection, our technical experts within the agency, and I certainly will get an answer to your question whether outside consultants were utilized
So you don't
in the
know.
development process.
You don't know.
May I explain to you, since you have a misunderstanding of the program, what it is and the impact, the positive impact it has had on encounters of these four populations in between the
I just
ports of
want to know
entry.
why it is that you are allowing people to come to this border to make appointments, to not be interviewed, and then how many have just been released? Is it true, by the way, as the Texas Monthly reports, that they're simply released into the country on official parole? And get this, they're not given, according to their reporting, any kind of follow-up. Their court dates are in immigration courts, the Texas Monthly reports, not even necessarily asylum trials. They're often general deportation hearings where defendants can make arguments for remaining in the country. Is that true?
That is a completely mistaken understanding of how the immigration process works. That language is completely confusing and erroneous.
Well, it is confusing. What's confusing is why anybody would think that an app like this to allow illegal immigrants to literally reserve a time to come to the border and then be ushered in without an interview, without follow-up, without tracking is stunning. It's absolutely stunning. Let me ask you in my very short time.
Folks, that is stunning. Can you imagine all the thousands upon thousands of people that are waiting in line to just be here legally, and then they just hop onto it? By the way, waiting like years and years, if not decades sometimes, to come here. And, I'm just going to download an app, show up, and, well, here you come. Just right on in. Make sure you come back.
Something else about Chinese nationals. I've only got a minute left.
So he's going to go into Chinese nationals. I think we've heard enough from Alejandro Mayorkas, the guy that's sitting there helping the Biden administration just run this country into the freaking ground. There is a report from the southern border there that more than 36 people are dead after a fire. Yeah, you heard that correctly. 36 after a fire at a migrant detention center in Mexico, just across the U.S. southern border, went up in flames. So according to U.S. officials, at least 39 people are dead and 29 others hospitalized after a fire broke out at a migration center. Folks, the victims of the fire reportedly hailed from the countries in Central and South America. Wait till we get to the details on this, folks. Those hospitalized are in delicate, serious condition. But with deep sadness and sorrow, we learned about the fire that happened inside the center. We will wait for the official information from this moment. We convey our condolences to the families of the migrants. What I'm hearing is they basically formed a protest inside the center itself, and I'm hearing that they basically lit a mattress on fire and it basically went south. So they're trying to sit there and protest because they weren't happy with what was going on at the southern border. Mind you, they're the immigrants themselves, and they're being detained. And basically now 39 people died because they decided to be knuckleheads and light a mattress on fire. Now, if that changes, I will make sure I let you know. I don't want to bring you fake news, but we'll stay up to date on what's going on with illegal immigration. I hope you enjoyed that clip from the Bald Brad Show. If you did, make sure to hit that subscribe button so you can stay up to date on all our future content.